Hello everyone, I'm Griffin and we are back with another reaction video. This time we are reacting to This Is What Feminists Really Think. Well, I don't know if anyone really cares what feminists really think, considering how much they've fucked over a lot of shit. So let's see what this video is about.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Clock. We are staying on theme with International Women's History Month. Is it Women's History? Women's History Month. That's the month. But this specific video is about International Women's Day, which was last week, also in March. It's the month of females and fake biological men pretending to be females, apparently. Anyway, this guy walked around a rally in the Netherlands on International Women's Day and interviewed some of the attendees. I'm very excited to watch this. My team has pulled it for me. You guys know I love talking about feminism. But before we get into it, you guys know the drill. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe to this channel if you've not already. Ring that notification bell so that you never miss one of our uploads. Alrighty.
Welcome to the first and a new video on Goosebumps. Today, I'm just a normal dude. I'm gonna find out what's gonna happen or what's going on with this whole feminism thing. And what better place would there be
going on with feminism? Bro, I don't even know.
Feminism. What are we doing here today? Me. I'm just a curious dude, like I said. Not really. I'm Renzo. Nice to meet you. Blixa.
They're so cautious now because they know that they get baited into these videos. The last one of these that I did was at a pro-choice rally in Nashville, and the same thing was happening to us. There was like a few people that were like sniffing out that we were right-wing provocateurs or whatever they call it. And they're like, where are you from? What's your YouTube? We're gonna look you up. And then the event coordinators came up and were like, what's your YouTube channel? And we had like a very small team. And then at one point, these girls ran up to me and they were like, oh my God, we know who you are. And they were actually fans of mine from TikTok. And I was like, why are you at this pro-choice rally? Either that's great because I'm reaching people on the other side of the political aisle, or you have no idea what I actually believe. That was the time. All that being said, this is like a normal tactic because they don't want to say anything because they are aware that they say things and then they look stupid.
Right, so you're fighting for why you're here, or well, basically just a big why.
It's a feminist march, so it's everything.
Everything.
Yeah, you can stand there for, I don't know, feminism, stop vagina tax, like...
Sorry? Vagina tax?
Vagina tax, you know? We have to pay for a tampon.
Vagina tax?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying vagina text.
Well, we have to pay for tampons and products.
Okay,
so stop that.
fair enough. I get that.
Yeah, so whatever you want to stand for, you can stand.
That's actually an excellent description of feminism. She said the quiet part out loud. It stands for anything and everything. Feminism is so confusing and destructive these days. It's not actually about uplifting women. If it was actually about uplifting women, we would be talking about the fact that men are dominating women's sports, that men are shattering the glass ceiling for women. We would talk about how...
Yeah, it's... Personally, you know, for a lot of the trans women who are biological men who have transitioned into women, going into a lot of these female sports and records being supposedly broken that were held like in powerlifting or swimming, tennis, you know, all this sort of stuff. Personally, I think those records are still intact. They have not been broken because they have not been broken by another biological female. They have just been broken by a man who is either pretending to be female or who genuinely thinks they were a female born into the wrong body and now have transitioned over to female. I believe that trans women should not be able to go into any woman's sport that deals with, you know, physicality. You know, like soccer, baseball, football, lifting, swimming, tennis, you know, or MMA, all this sort of stuff where you need some sort of physical exertion. And because, you know, all around, men 9 times out of 10 will typically dominate over the woman when it comes to anything physical, because it is how we are made. Men are biologically more physically superior to women. It comes down to our bone density, our muscle, testosterone, and all that sort of stuff. It's not to say that women can't do any of this stuff. It's just to say men have a more physical and biological edge to them. So these trans women should not be allowed into women's sports because it is highly unfair to the women who have worked so hard to get where they are. And now they're going up against a male who could just physically dominate the shit out of them. And it's completely unfair.
Hookup culture is actually detrimental for your mental health. How it benefits women in literally no way. We would talk about what it means to be a mother and why people are walking away from that. Like, that would actually be feminist talking points. Those would be women issues. But with modern day feminism, it's all intersectional. Oh, feminism intersects with racial something and trans whatever, and ooh, feminism and environmentalism.
I think feminism, or the feminist movement, has severely lost its way, because the first and second wave of feminists fought for the right to go out and have a job so they aren't in the house, and the second one they fought for that not a lot of women really wanted because of what came with it was the right to vote. Now, a lot of women didn't want the right to vote because what came with being able to vote was you are also eligible to be drafted to the military for war or something like that. So not a lot of women wanted the right to vote because of the fear of being drafted. But they eventually made it so that the women, if I remember correctly, the women don't get drafted but can still vote, but the men still get drafted when they are able to vote. So, and the feminist movement has accomplished, don't get me wrong, it has accomplished a lot since it started from the first generation. Women are able to hold a job. A lot of women own their own businesses. They're able to become the breadwinner. More women than men actually graduate college. I believe there are more women in I don't know if there are more women in high-end positions than men, but there are a lot more than there used to be. Hell, even the former CEO of YouTube was, a woman. We even have a woman vice president, which I don't know how well she's doing because I don't keep up with politics that much. So, and women have all these, there is no right that a man has that a woman does not. And a lot of the feminist movement has fought for that, and so they've accomplished that. So they now have basically every single right that a man has. And now this current generation, this current wave of feminism is starting to just completely, it's like a mockery to what actual feminism was and should be. It's just a complete mockery and a joke now. So
it's like, can you not bring everything into it? You are allowed to have different issues that we discuss at different times. You literally can't even boil down what it means. Ask her what a woman is and see what she has an answer to.
Okay, so you can literally think anything, say anything, and people will be like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
That would delete
That's
all value
not
from
good.
it, right?
If you say bricks are green because feminism, sure.
What does that even
Doesn't make
mean?
any sense, does it?
No, it doesn't.
There's inequality for bricks.
So she literally is saying it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter. That's the basis of all left-wing ideology right now. It's inconsistent. They are not rooted in any actual principles or values that drive them, other than we're going to be angry at you and call you bigots if you disagree with anything we say, even if it doesn't make sense, and even if we don't even know what we're talking about. I'm so happy we have an honest person. I love integrity. That's the most important thing. She has a lot of integrity.
All men must die?
All men must die.
Why you want
voice.
me dead?
All men must die.
this is one thing that frustrates me a little bit. It's a minority. It's a very small minority of women that say all men should die and the world would be a much better place without men, or something like that, or something to that effect. And the thing is that a lot of these feminists don't realize, and this goes both ways, what I'm about to say. If all men were to disappear from the planet, the human race within 100 or so years would go extinct. And vice versa. If all women were to go away within about 100 to, I'd say, 150 years, all humanity would be extinct. You know, because not very many humans can really live past 100, since our average, I think the average lifespan of the human male is, I think it's 75. I think it's around 70, 75. And I think the average lifespan for the human female, I believe, is 80 to 85. Where men do stupid things, so we have a shorter lifespan. We do stupid shit. But it's weird, and a lot of our, like here in America, a lot of our infrastructure is kept up by the vast majority of it is kept up by men. So if all men were to disappear, a lot of the infrastructure would probably within a couple of years would just collapse. So this all men should die shit is very, very stupid and very ignorant, and any feminist who says this should really shut the fuck up and, you know, get a fucking brain.
Yeah. You supervillain?
You don't have any knives on you, right?
No, I'm not gonna kill them. I'm not gonna kill the men. They're going to abolish themselves in the end, eventually.
Why is that?
Well, because patriarchy, which is also...
This patriarchy bullshit again. The patriarchy doesn't exist. It doesn't. I mean, it probably did back in the 20s to 50s, back before any of us were really born or were a twinkle in our father's eye. Patriarchy in this generation does not exist. This feminist ideology likes to perpetuate that the idea of the patriarchy exists, that all men are keeping the woman down, or we're trying to keep them subservient to us, which is just factually and statistically not true at all. There is no patriarchy. There's no matriarchy. And it just doesn't exist, and I don't know where they keep getting this idea that the patriarchy exists when it does not. There's no factual evidence that the patriarchy exists.
So a man may think...
You believe we live in a patriarchy?
I think so. You think you don't think so?
I think so. You're saying that all men must die, that you hate men so much that they're just going to abolish themselves, but you don't know if you live in a patriarchal society. I don't really know. What am I fighting against? I guess I could be fighting against anything. That's what the
funny thing is with a lot of these feminists, as soon as you come up with, an actual logical argument that rebuts all of their beliefs, and don't get me wrong, there's some things in the feminist movement that, need to be addressed. But a lot of the vast majority of the stuff that they keep making up, once they go against somebody who actually has a logically thinking brain and rebuts a lot of what their beliefs is that they've been fed in this current generation of feminists, they start to realize, like, okay, what am I fighting for? I mean, I can basically do what I want, and we're not really fighting for anything. So it's funny to see a lot of these women have this sort of epiphany of, what the hell am I fighting for, as soon as they go up against somebody who has, a logically thinking brain.
first girl said.
I don't think so anymore.
Oh, what do you think you're living in then?
Matriarchy, that's like the women thing, right?
Oh, are you for real? That's why...
Women have more rights nowadays than men, maybe.
Okay, but that's...
It depends on the area you're looking at when it comes to that point. When it comes to like the court system and the judicial system, then yes, women kind of have it over men. Because let's look at it this way: if a man and a woman both committed the same crime, let's say something like murder, the man would get a harsher sentence than the woman would. And when it comes to a custody battle, it's more in favor of the woman than it is the man, even though it clearly shows that the man would be a better, like in a certain situation, it shows that the father would be a better choice. They would still go with the mother, because supposedly just because that the mother birthed the child, that the child should go with the mother, when they seem to forget that it takes two to make a kid. You know, without the man, the child can't be born either. It's just, they're like relegated to a lower tier person when it comes to being a parent, because they're a father, and I don't know, it's something like that.
That's why we still haven't had the president of the United States ever being a woman.
Why do you care about that? You are in Amsterdam, and you're so upset because we haven't elected a female? You're pointing out something that has no relation to you whatsoever. It's just a random talking point because you're searching for rationality for your beliefs. You have nothing else. Sorry that Hillary Clinton didn't win. She was a terrible candidate.
Yeah, see, when it comes to presidency, honestly, I wouldn't mind a woman president. I don't care. You can be a woman, you can be a man, you can be a fucking gopher thing for all I care. It doesn't matter, man, woman. If you want to be a president, go right the fuck ahead. As long as you're not as corrupt or whatever as Hillary was. Hillary was objectively just not a good choice. Sorry to say, she was not. I'm not sure if Kamala Harris or whatever the fuck her name is, VP, is a good VP or a bad VP. I don't know, because I don't pay the fuck attention. Politics are just one big headache because they're just screaming at each other now, instead of coming together and finding a middle ground where they can both, be like, hey, why don't we compensate? Why don't we just, find a good way for both sides to be happy? Instead of just doing a pissing match, seeing which person has the bigger dick.
How does that impact you? Why are you putting all of your emphasis on America?
In the Netherlands, every other 8 days, a woman gets killed because of femicide.
You know what happens to men every now and then?
Tell me.
Oh, men are told to be killed. I don't see any men here around here telling people women should die.
This is maybe the first time that openly they are being told to be killed, and I think that that time will come.
Imagine being friends with that person. Is she married? Probably not. Oh my god. Whoever she's married to, I'm so sorry, sir. She's probably a lesbian. She's definitely a lesbian. Or she's like in some like polygamous weird cult thing.
What is feminism for you?
Feminism for me mostly is
Did not expect that.
That's no lady!
That's a man.
breaking free from specific gender norms that, limits both men and women.
So feminism isn't just about women. That's the point that we're getting to. Feminism means nothing and everything at all. Feminism is not actually about empowering women or fighting for equality for women, because we already have that. If a woman is held back, it is due to her own choices. Sorry if that's a hot take, but that's real. We literally have the exact same opportunities.
She's
the
not
exact same
wrong.
rights. But apparently it's not about that anymore, because that's all been said and done, so now they have to...
At this point, feminism is not looking for equality anymore. We have equality. Whether they think it or not, it goes right over their fucking head. We have equality in today's day and age. Women can do anything a man can do. They can get any job a man can. They can go anywhere a man... Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but women can basically do anything a man can do in today's day and age. And not exactly vice versa. Men can't do a lot of things women can do, because physically there's not much we can do. Whatever. But yeah, we have equality. Nowadays, with the way feminist movement has been going, they're looking for more dominance than equality. They want superiority over equality. They want equality when it suits them, and as soon as it doesn't suit them, they fly off the fucking handle.
to find other things to create problems around.
You can't cry, or you have to always be at the gym. And for women, for example, you have to mostly work in like care industries, like being a nurse at certain hospitals.
Who said?
See, no, women don't have to do any of that. It's all. These people are exhausting. I feel like I'm losing a brain cell every time I listen to them. It's all choice. All it boils down to, it's choice. Sorry if you don't like that answer, but you are a victim of your own choices.
What is that?
People to be free to have their own choices. At the moment, that's
You have your own
very
choices.
difficult because, well,
Telling all men they can't cry. Have you seen men in 2023? Everybody's crying. Testosterone is at an all-time low. Everybody go to the gym. Have you seen the obesity rates across the world, especially in America? Here I am bringing America back into it after I was just criticizing that woman.
Yeah, everybody, a lot of people in America, they really need to start going to the gym and eating healthy, because America, oh God, we are fat as fuck.
But still, we're all fat and lazy. Testosterone is low. Everybody's crying. And you're saying that that's not happening? Sir, fool, no.
we are also, yeah,
You have no idea what you're saying.
the economic space. We're also
You have no idea why you're here.
Sometimes, like, women are still.
When it comes, when you listen to people like this and you see people like this, you know they have no fucking idea why they are there and what they're doing there, what they're trying to fight for, because they're taking pauses and everything. They're like and they're trying to come up with something in their head that sounds smart and to give a smart reason as to why they're there, when they really don't. They have no idea why they're there. They're just there to make themselves look better. They have no legitimate reason to be there, because they have no logical way of thinking of what they're fighting for.
Example,
You say we. So you identify as a woman?
That's a big ass cup. Lady, that cup makes you look tiny.
not completely, but like,
So what do you identify as, if I may ask?
not really much at the moment. Mostly men, some bit of women, but I don't.
Western civilization is falling. Every day, a little more. Woo!
We die a little more each day. We have no idea what we're doing.
He doesn't even know what he identifies as. I would have more respect, and I wouldn't have paused the video if he had just said, like, oh, non-binary. I'm used to that now. I don't really know. Not really much of anything right now.
Oh, excuse
How
me.
does that work, figuring out something like that?
It's mostly just trying to basically question the kinds of thoughts and ideas you have. For some people, it's like, okay, I was born with a penis. I hate that thing, and it feels weird to have it.
I don't actually think that this idea that we all have the freedom
That's an interesting little trio of people. They kind of look like they could be related to the guy hosting this. They have the same hair. The one who's speaking, I don't know if that's a boy or a girl.
to do whatever we want or something actually really exists. I think there are real material factors which restrict that freedom. Like, for example, like working women like face heaps of violence against them, like both structural, systemic, and like in their relationships and stuff, and there's no proper societal support to fight against that violence.
Okay. Yes, for women, there are so much institutions, so many things that women can go to for support, for if there, any problems in their relationship, their social life, or anywhere. They have places they can go to, people they can talk to. When it comes to men, in the entire United States, I think there are like 2 to 4 places. Like for if men are being what's the word? Domestically abused, or if they were, I know it's a hard concept to imagine for some of you people out there, but for a man who was raped, or if they were physically abused by their spouse or significant other, men have maybe 2 to 4 places in the entire United States that they can go to. I think the amount of places women have is astro-fucking-nomical. I think women have a lot more advantages than men do when it comes to a lot of personal and social life.
Because it's just not profitable.
What violence? Are we talking about sexual assault? Like, if we are, just say that, because that actually is a real issue. But if you throw that around, and just all violence and there's all this systemic stuff, you're diminishing something that is very real and that women face every single day. If we want to talk about rape and sexual assault, which is a very real thing, talk about that. It's inconvenient just to talk about that because then you're losing the societal and cultural...
Sexual assault and violence... Like, towards women, I find it, like, for me, unless a woman is literally coming after me for my life, like, coming after my life to take it, the only thing I would probably do is hold the woman down until she calms down or until the proper authorities comes to take her away. The only time I would swing back is if I'm defending my life or the life of somebody else. Because I was raised to not physically harm a woman because physically I am stronger and bigger. And I can cause a hell of a lot more damage than that woman can. So it amazes me that there are people out there that have no morals whatsoever, no conscience, that they think it's okay to just sexually assault and physically abuse people.
Things against women, whatever. And then if you're going to talk about rape and sexual assault, you also need to include men who are raped and sexually assaulted. You also need to include violence against men, but that is also inconvenient to them. And if we're talking about just things holding women back in the workplace, I'll say it again, it is because of women's own choices. Statistically, women choose and gravitate towards lower paying jobs versus men. They're making that choice.
There is a reason, because men prefer to work with things rather than people, and women prefer to work with people rather than things. And when it comes to working with things, there are a lot more dangerous and hazardous jobs that when it comes to working with things than there are working with people. So because those jobs are higher paid because of how hazardous they are. So that's why a lot of the men who go to these jobs get paid more than women on average, is because these men are making the choice to go to these more dangerous jobs, where these women are choosing to go to a job that doesn't have as many hazards as the jobs that the men choose. So on average, the women don't get as much money, plus a multitude of other factors. But what I talked about was just, one factor.
They have every right to go be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, but many women choose not to. If they choose to have children, then maybe they choose a job that is more flexible, that, is part-time, that allows them to be home. That would be paid less because they are not working as much because they are staying in the home. That is a choice. You can choose not to have kids. It's not my problem. And if you're in the workplace and you feel like you're getting paid less, statistically, women are not as good at negotiating as men are. That means we need to be bolder. We need to lead with our heads. Like, that's something that we can change, and you can take steps to mitigate that. That's not society against you. I don't expect to walk into a room and have a bunch of guys be like, oh, you're a woman here. We have a really, really good deal for you. You don't have to negotiate at all. We just pretended like a man negotiated. Like, that's so condescending and rude. All the systemic stuff that you talk about are due to women's choices. Need more water.
And you also see that people from like the LGBTQ community and stuff like that also face this violence very frequently. I've faced this violence.
That's not a feminist issue. You've lumped it in. Now you're talking about gay people.
What kind of violence, if I may ask?
For example, slurs levied against me, shouting, people telling me to get out of it. In when I lived in Australia.
All right. People seem to not know people in this generation seem to not realize what violence is. Violence is nothing verbal. Anything verbal is not violence. It may be offensive, it may be something you don't like to hear, but it's not violence. Violence involves physical stuff. Like let's look up the definition for violence. Give me a second here. All right. Here, like this. Violence. Behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. So, violence is... You can't say when somebody calls you a name you don't like, or tells you something you don't like, or shouts in your face, gets very loud and very verbal with you. That is not violence. That is not the definition of violence. You may think it's violence, but it's not. Violence involves physical exertion onto somebody and not verbal. I can get into somebody's face. I could shout them down. I can yell till I'm blue in the fucking face. I'm not being violent with them. I'm being very rude, disrespectful, and verbal with them. But it's not violence until I start being physical with them. So, I'm sorry if you don't like somebody shouting at you or calling you a name, but it's not violence.
Words are not violence.
Australia, I've had people say like, "Oh, I'll kill you if you keep talking to me like that," or something like that.
Like what?
I was just being who I am, and they just sort of
What is
You
being
give no
who
example.
you are?
You give no
just
example.
dressing.
I'm against any violence. I think we should respect any people that dress any
Yes.
way they want or whatever.
You can be against that violence, but saying that is just like sort of almost a non-statement without actually looking at the real material underlying factors for that violence and the system which perpetuates and shapes that violence.
So it's just stupid
The thing
words.
is, we teach people not to steal and be kind, but there's still dickheads out there in the world and stealing.
Yeah,
So
well-
there's a part on your own responsibility.
But why are they stealing?
Sorry?
See, here's the other thing. You can't expect every single person in the world to act how you want them to act or act how you see people should act. Like, there's going to be dickheads in the world. You can't do anything about it. It's human nature.
I'm assuming you're talking about like petty theft, right? People stealing a phone, people stealing a
Oh, so
Like
because they're
banks
poor.
or any kind of violence.
There's real underlying pressures and whatever you want to say for everything that happens in the world. And just saying that doesn't excuse anything.
someone who, for example, steals $20, right? Probably they need the $20. Probably it's because they're poor, or unemployed, or whatever, right? So that's the reason, right? There's an underlying factor. So then you look
but
at
there's a
why
reason
are they
why they're poor.
Yeah, why
Maybe
are
they made
poor?
a few very bad decisions.
That's kind of putting an individual responsibility.
So he's literally just pointing out one type of petty theft where somebody's really hungry, their kid is hungry, they're going to steal $20 and do that. What about all the people that are just not good people? I saw this person has this thing and I want it, or I'm dealing with the consequences of my actions, like this man is saying, like somebody tells me that I need to steal something, I need to repay somebody for my drugs that I bought or some weird shit like that. You can rationalize anything. He's just trying to pick one little argument, and then he's going to turn around and he's going to say, but with homophobia and transphobia and all of this stuff, there's no reason. Nobody has any reason to do that. Again, maybe people who are saying that to you, maybe they're just not good people. You can legislate anything, but there will always be bad people.
We all have individual responsibility, right? I mean, saying that we wouldn't have any responsibility would be kind of naive.
Okay, to be honest, I don't really think this is a very productive discussion.
He says all right, when it comes to people like that, as soon as they say that, they know that they have been proven wrong. They know that they can't argue against it because the person is right and they have no way to rebut what they have just been told. They're basically idiots. They're trying to find fault within something, and it's just not working out for them. I mean, like you said, everyone has their own individual responsibility, consequence. You can't blame something on somebody else for the choices you make, unless the person is deliberately going after you to, screw with your life and to make things go wrong. Unless they're deliberately trying to do that, it's not their fault. If they're deliberately trying to do that, then yes, it's not your fault. It's their fault for fucking you over.
If you have a heterosexual image as the main image of the country,
It is the majority. Exceptions don't make a rule.
yeah, I understand you, but I've got a different way. I've got a different view on reality.
When a man makes his wealth, reality is a very good source. I would agree. It's been working like that for hundreds of years, isn't it?
a lot of these people in these rallies are very delusional. They have no idea why they're there. They're just there to get brownie points, you know, look cool, look good, or whatever. It's just they have no idea why they're there. They're basically sheep. That's what they are. They're sheep.
If you read history books, that's your source.
I don't know. I'm not here to emphasize your ideas about reality.
You can tell she's getting upset. You can tell she's starting. The shit in her mind's starting to fray.
If you want me to emphasize those ideas,
I'm not here to emphasize your ideas of reality. You are supposed to emphasize my ideas of reality, my delusions, because I am a woman, and you are a disgusting man who must die. That was my impression.
There's still a gender wage gap, but they're basically marketing themselves.
The wage gap doesn't exist for the reasons that these people think it exists. They think it exists because just because the person is a woman, they are getting paid less, which is not true. There has been a law put in place since the 60s to keep that from happening. I don't know what the law is called specifically, but it has been in place since the 60s. No place of employment is allowed to pay one person more or less because of their gender. Your argument is invalid.
As being progressive.
I mean, you kind of fix the gender wage gap if everyone is just whatever, right?
Well,
Somewhat.
Because there's no genders.
How many different genders and sexualities are there?
I don't know.
2. 3 if you count intersex. But genetically, 2. There are 2. Male and female. They, them does not exist because they, them refers to more than one person. If you're calling yourself a they, them, I'm going to assume you have multiple personality disorder. And non-binary doesn't exist because if non-binary exists, there would probably be less humans on the planet. Probably would. Because non-binary would mean you have neither a penis or a vagina, which biologically would not work. Dislike what I say all you want, it's the truth.
I really don't know.
What's the difference between a gender and a sexuality?
Sexuality is who you fall for and how you feel about other people.
Well, if we're going by what this generation has tried to describe it, sexuality is what you were born as, either male or female. Gender, according to feminism, is how you are feeling. Whatever they think.
Gender is what you feel.
What you feel.
Yeah.
I feel good!
I love that he included that. That's why it's so confusing when you have the LGB.
That was good.
And then you added the T to the community. Like lesbians and gay people and bisexual people, we're talking about their sexualities there. And then suddenly we're...
The one thing I always thought was weird, I mean, isn't lesbian and gay the same thing? I mean, gay just means you're attracted to the same sex. So, isn't lesbian just gay?
lumping in people who are just changing their genders. Like, these are two different categories, two different conversations. LGB without the T has literally been trending on Twitter because of this, because there's a lot of gay people who are saying, you are ruining what we stand for, our movement. You weren't even talking about your sexuality. Maybe you are a trans person who would consider themselves gay, but then you would just be straight in another world. God, I don't know. Oh.
If you're a trans and you consider yourself gay, like you're a trans woman and you're attracted to women, I'm sorry, you're you're straight. You're attracted to the opposite biological sex. You're straight. If you say you're gay, if you say you're a trans woman and you're gay, meaning you think you're attracted to women, you're deluding. You are just delusional. You're fooling yourself. You are straight. Now, if you're a trans woman and you're attracted to a man, then you can say you're gay. This is reality. You can love it or hate it.
What is a woman?
Ah, I was hoping you would ask
What
me.
is a woman? I don't know.
What is a man?
I don't know.
What if there's no differences? Why is there even a point on naming it?
Because people want it to be named.
But if you can't even explain the difference between a man and a woman, why do we even have names for it anymore?
If you-
I believe there is a difference.
Traditionally, you have a man and a woman. A man has a penis and a woman has a vagina,
Exactly.
right?
Yes, exactly.
But
I
don't
love.
If you want to get down into genetics, it's the chromosome difference. XY, XX, I believe. I'm not a biologist, so.
changing. You have people that have like a penis and also a vagina.
It's like a very small percentage.
How can you have both? I've not heard that before in all my time on the internet. Did she literally just say there's some people that have a penis and a vagina?
You have people
That would be called a futanari.
that have like a penis and also a vagina.
Wow, you're so smart.
I don't want to know how that works. I was envisioning something and I don't want to.
Exceptions don't make the rule.
No, but
I think that's what's happening right now.
no, times are just changing.
It's making the exceptions the rule.
So
I love that he keeps driving home exceptions do not make the rule, because specifically with transgender ideology, they throw around all of these things like who you are is just who you identify as. And I saw one video recently where a lady was saying like, actually, if you are transgender, you do biologically change because in your brain, you think you're different. And then your brain tells your body that, you know, you're a different gender now. And so you actually are biologically, you know, a different gender. And then when we actually get down to science, they completely waver on their principles and what they're saying. And they go, well, actually with intersex people,
Well, yeah, they can't go against it because, you know, scientifically, we do not have the technology to biologically change a male to a female. We don't. We can't do that. We can physically change everything. But the only thing we can't genetically make somebody a female. So no matter how much surgery you get, no matter how much chemicals and drugs and whatever you pump through your body, you're going to keep staying what you were biologically born as. A man cannot biologically become a female. He cannot miraculously transition to a female and start producing eggs and have a period. Whereas a female can't just magically biologically change to a male and start producing sperm. It's not scientifically possible. We don't have the technology to do that, and I don't know if we ever will. Love it or hate it, this is reality.
That's a tiny percentage. You're basing an entire ideology off of a tiny percentage of people who are born intersex. But you're only doing that when you're actually pressed to the bottom of your argument. That's like with the abortion argument, where people try to use the 1% of women that use abortion in cases of rape and incest. The other 99% is a form of birth control. So if we can agree that that 99% of birth control abortions is immoral and is wrong, is inhumane, is murder, then we could have a conversation about the 1%. That would be
I do have an
realistic,
opinion
but
on
they don't want to have
abortion,
that. They
but I
will
like to
never
keep it
admit
to
that it's wrong. It's the
myself.
same thing here. They will never actually get to the point of talking about intersex people. We could never have a conversation about that one category, because then they're going to lump in literally everything else, all of these weird identities. And if you just think that you're a different gender, then you become one. It does not work that way.
Life is already difficult and complicated enough.
if you don't want it to notice it, just don't notice it. If you don't want to be here,
But if you're gonna
Don't notice it. It's literally everywhere. How could you not notice it when you're screaming in my face? When you're yelling at me about transgender things literally every single day? You can't just turn a blind eye unless you're literally living in the woods, which I would love to do, and turn off all social media and stuff. But then I would just be ignorant and not having a sense of what is actually going on in the world, which I think you need to know in order to be a concerned citizen and a participant in society. There's no way to just ignore it.
If you're gonna send your kids to school and you're gonna end up with some weird ass information and they're gonna come home and talk about all this sexual shit while they're 5 years old, there's no reason for them to have any of that information.
No, because it's not talked about in school.
Yes, it is.
Where?
People that are boys, there's people that are girls. There are people whose gender might be a little bit of both, or
In
might
schools
even be
and on
neither.
Netflix.
Lessons
Educational
include
materials.
books about transgender children. Another blaring example, drag queen story time. It's happening in Canada and America.
I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. This shit should not be anywhere near children. If you believe it should be, you should fuck off. Stay the fuck away from children. Don't ever procreate. This shit needs to stay away from kids. If you want to bring it into high school where they're 16 and older, fine. Let them learn. Keep it away from kids. Fuck off.
America, where some public schools and libraries invite drag queens, some
that was
dressed like
horrifying.
torn
That was like a
demons,
tarantula.
to read to young children.
For some,
A lot of these drag people, I must admit, they have a lot of interesting and fascinating designs and outfits. It's amazing what people can come up with.
of course, there's going to always be a component people will actually want more change, but I also am always skeptical of well, corporations trying to make changes like that.
True.
Because, well,
It's becoming kind of corporate, isn't it?
in some ways, yes.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, the corporate world has sort of taken hold a lot of this LGBT movement, and just all they've really done, they haven't helped really any of the causes. All they've done is just tried to make a profit off of it. That's all they care about, is making a profit.
Ways. You cannot claim that you are progressive and edgy and the revolution if Netflix and Apple and every huge big tech platform is on your side. If Big Pharma is funding you, you're not the resistance. They're using you. They're profiting off of you. You're nothing special. You're not oppressed if all of the corporate world is supporting you.
I think it would be better if all men would die.
Well, for a lot of things, it would be better, yeah.
You
Who's gonna
literally, the
fix
world
your
will not
bike?
continue.
For your car. Because I don't see you doing it.
Well, yeah, maybe then I should walk soon.
Maybe you should. It's really weird, I gotta say.
Yeah, no shit. Literally, if she actually believed that all men should die off, the entire planet would die off. I mean, maybe that is kind of her motive.
I stubbed my fucking feet. My toes. Ow. Oh, that fucking hurt.
Because she probably believes that the planet is dying and is going to burst into flames anyway. So there's no point in procreating because there's no hope for anything and the whole world is doomed to disaster. But that is such a, I mean, that is literally like a doomsday point of view. A world without men does not exist, just like a world without women cannot and would not exist. There are two genders for a reason. We live in harmony. We balance each other out. We are needed for different things. We have different strengths, literally physically, mentally, the way we operate, the way we look at the world. Our bodies are constructed in literally different ways depending on how we are supposed to function. You cannot have one without the other. And you cannot have feminism without an actual definition of what feminism is.
It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too situation.
And that's the point. Happy Women's History Month.
Well, I know this video is ran longer than I intended it to, but I apparently had a lot to say. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please make sure to go check out my Twitch, TikTok, and my Discord. Links to all of them are in the description below. Let me know what you guys think of feminists in today's day and age. And also, if there are any other videos or TikToks you'd like to see me react to, please make sure to put them in the comments below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.